Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome into an exciting edition of TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Yes, we are.
We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
The Rollo Insurance Studio.
Typically, I do it in the middle of the segment, but today we had some things happening before the segment started, so I thought I'll buy myself a little time by saying that we're in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it is the Go Hour presented by
The Warehouse at CC Creations.
And we are currently hanging out at the
Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
So, OB, rankings. We've done a lot of rankings recently because people have rankings. Mm-hmm. The AP has a ranking, the coaches poll ranking, Pablo's got a ranking, Seth has got a ranking, Nick's got a, everybody's got a ranking.
Okay.
I'm going to read you two different types of rankings.
All right.
Okay. Are you familiar with Greg McElroy?
Yeah.
He has A&M as the number 13 team in his top 25. Interestingly, by the way, I'll take that. Thank you very much, Greg, for those thoughts. Clemson and Penn State, 1 and 2. Notre Dame, 3. I actually told, Nick, you may remember, who did I tell on the show yesterday that I personally would rank Penn State or Clemson a little higher? Do you remember who I said that to yesterday on the show?
Was it Pate?
Might have been Pate, Josh Pate. Just because of them having veterans on their team, having more returning production, I know more about them. That's what I said. For me, I still recognize the talent on Texas. I recognize the talent at Georgia. It's not a diss. I know what I got with those teams more than I know what I think I have with these other teams that will probably live up to being a top 5 level team.
Yeah, it's based on what you have coming back that's actually proven.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, my apprehension with Penn State always starts with Drew Alber.
Yeah.
And as far as Clemson goes, I get it. You know, they're supposed to have like the best defensive lineman in the country, and Klubnik is a Heisman Trophy contender and all these things. My apprehension there is, weren't that the team that needed almost a miracle finish to beat SMU in the conference championship? And
were they up big on them, and then SMU made a run, I believe? I feel like that's what happened in
something
that game.
Like that, but they needed a. And then there's some other games during the season, so I guess it's about being in the ACC.
Yeah, I think those are all totally fair. And if Clemson were to line up against Texas today, would I take Texas? I think I would. So does that make them automatically better? But again, I say I think I would. I don't know. I think
even more than Texas, Ohio State, the opening game that if you're betting on it, you know, you're just racking your brain, and it's probably going to be really hard to come up with something, is Clemson and LSU.
I think finally LSU gets that win.
Okay, and why?
Because I just can't imagine that streak continuing. Because that's a terrible way to analyze a game, right?
And it may be, but
do I believe LSU? So I'm one of those who believes LSU is probably better than you think, but not as good as what people think.
I think LSU is as good as they were last year.
Is that a top 10 team?
Were they last year?
Nope. I think they're more like a 14th or 15th ranked team.
I'll be honest. I don't remember what they were ranked at the end of the year.
They finished 9-4, and they won their bowl game.
I'm trying to figure out why they're so much better.
Yep.
Without, the 4 offensive linemen. I know they got a freshman cornerback that's going to make all the difference.
All people.
And yeah, Harold Perkins is coming back from injury, and that should make them better, even though
they were better without him.
That's what the folks in Baton Rouge were saying last year.
But a lot of folks who have covered LSU, like even not just insiders, people who cover the league say their defense is going to be significantly better.
Okay, and they may be. But you tell me.
Why?
No, you tell me when media from LSU isn't always hyping them up to be national championship winners or at least contenders.
Good point.
It's every single year. And every single year they're good. They're good. And sometimes really good. And they were amazing in 2019.
What would you say to those that say, well, TexAgs media does the same thing?
Well, there's probably some truth to it, even though I know there are a lot of...
I think we've been pretty honest about where we think...
We always say, look, this is what they may be capable of, but we got to see it in the defense, da-da-da-da-da.
In 21, I was very bullish on that team heading into the season. Okay, the Haynes King year.
And then he got hurt.
And he got hurt. But I did not, and I have not let this be a mistake again, I did not factor in a brand new offensive line as critically as I should have. Because you go from the 2020 Maroon Goons to a good offensive line, but it didn't happen overnight, right? And there were injuries. 22, nobody in the world thought they were going to go 5-7, much less lose to App State.
They were ranked number 6, and we didn't in TexAgs. None of us had a vote.
Right.
And you know, my son gives me a hard time because says you pick A&M every year, and I say, when have I picked them to win a championship? I've said, okay, they can win 10 games or here and there, but I always say, yeah, if you will tell me before the season starts that you're going to lose your starting quarterback for X amount of games, I may change that pick. So everything's always based on, a healthy team.
The information you have at that moment. And by the way, if you're an 8-4 team, more than likely you're pretty close to being a 10-2 team.
You had your opportunities.
Right? And if you're 8-4, it's also possible you're very close to being 7-5.
Or 6-6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it is literally a play or two that can determine what your season feels like. And A&M has had that on several occasions.
Well, last year is a perfect example. I don't know what the 2 games that they were close to losing, right, to make them a 6-6 team. I don't know that.
Yeah, let me go through it. Florida never. Missouri, I think Missouri could have been tighter had the first quarter been played differently, but it didn't. So Missouri was a beatdown. There's the schedule. Bowling Green got a little closer than I expected at the end, as did Arkansas, but I'd never felt that they were going to lose that game. Mississippi State did feel closer in the second half than it should have been.
Than it should have been.
Than it should have been.
But
they won.
But
right?
Didn't they win by?
They won by 10.
Yeah.
The LSU game is the hardest game for me because a tell it two halves, it was 2 different games. They were getting their butts kicked, and they kicked LSU's butt.
They were getting their butt kicked. They were still down 10 in the third, midway through the third quarter when they made the change. So it wasn't like, they were out of it.
So your comment was which game that they could have won or could have lost?
I'm saying which of the games out there you look at and say, wow, they were really lucky to win that one. And I don't see one. But the Auburn game, now the only game I look at and said, okay, well, there's 2 games they could have won. They could have beaten Notre Dame, and they could have beaten Auburn. Should have beaten Auburn.
Yeah.
So I think they were close. I guess what I'm getting at is, and this is the ultimate consolation prize, right? They were closer to being a 10-win team than they were to being a 6-win team.
And I agree with you. The LSU game still in my heart is like, did I just watch a video game happen? Because it just felt like Bo Jackson was out there dominating Tecmo Bowl. That's what it felt like in the second half. Like, we would have never dreamed up that story. It happened. But you know what I'm saying? Like, at halftime, do you remember what we were thinking?
Yeah, we're thinking looks pretty dire.
Yeah.
Maybe they can. Well, I was thinking maybe they need to try a new quarterback. No,
right.
I wasn't thinking that.
I think you were thinking that in the Notre Dame game.
I was definitely saying
you
that.
You said it in the Notre Dame game.
And had they made the change, they might have won.
Yeah, and in the South Carolina game, I'll say this. Le'Veon's injury, even though A&M came back and took the lead after he went down, I wonder how different that game feels if Le'Veon doesn't get hurt.
They probably lose something like 44-24, 44-31. because they still, until you put Le'Veon out there at linebacker, I think that was a lost cause.
Yeah. Offensively, I think they would have been a little more sound.
So they would have scored a couple more points.
Yeah. What was the final score in that one?
Like 44-20. Is that right, Nick? 44-20?
Yeah. And it was somewhat close until it wasn't.
Look, they are on the
44-20.
Yeah, they're on the in the fourth quarter. They're on the 20-yard line, or maybe the 25, with a first down and a chance. They're down 10 with a chance to make it a one-score game, and Marcel threw an unfortunate interception. Yeah, they're all unfortunate, but he made let's face it, he made a bad play.
Yeah,
he made a bad decision.
All right, so now we go from Greg McElroy's to Brett McMurphy's most underrated preseason college football teams since 2014. Most underrated teams since 2014.
Okay.
Texas A&M is not on that list. Okay, I don't know why they're not on the list. Okay. Kay sent me one with A&M on it. Maybe I sent the wrong one to Nick. But regardless, let's go through that. Underrated. I think the one I was supposed to send Nick was the most overrated because A&M was on that one. BYU, Northwestern, TCU, Missouri. Missouri, I think, is a team that this year I think has gotten they've gotten forgotten, and I have forgotten about them as well because I think they have to make up too much.
So is this like 1 year, like maybe it was in 2019, you were underrated? Is that what he's saying on that one?
Teams that we have just underrated consistently since 2014.
Okay, I get that. All right, I get you. Missouri, I get it. They've had a really good program. They win. Now you can question their schedule, but the bottom line is they win.
Yeah, they do win. They keep winning. Okay, Nick actually found the one that I want, so I think I sent him the wrong one. There we go. Top 25 most overrated teams since 2025, and A&M is number 3 on that list.
I really can't argue. Like, I can think of 2 years, back to back, they opened the season ranked 6th.
Yep. And
finished unranked.
Texas is on that list at 21 because there was a long stretch where they were getting a lot of love and they didn't live up to it. USC is consistently getting a lot of love. LSU on the list at number 4.
Huh. That's almost surprising because, like I said, they're usually pretty good. Maybe
they're national championship good, or they're 8-4, 9-4, right?
I think they're pretty consistently the 9-10 win team. But that national championship team, I mean, that may be the best offense I've ever seen in college football.
Is that the best college football team you've ever seen?
I don't know if I go that far because I've seen some teams that were explosive offense and you couldn't move on defense. You could move on LSU's defense.
Yeah.
But
who do you think is the best team you've ever seen?
Nebraska back in the
Tommy Frazier days?
Yeah, that's funny. Tommy Frazier, we're getting off topic, but Tommy Frazier is a perfect example of what I always say when people judge quarterbacks by their ability to throw.
Mm-hmm.
And, some of those Miami teams.
I think the early 2000s Miami team might be the best team I ever saw.
Yeah. But probably the one that got cheated against
Ohio State.
But anyway, you're always talking about if a great quarterback, because he throws this, I always say it, a great quarterback isn't necessarily a great passer. A great quarterback moves his offense. Tommy Frazier could not throw, but they could move that offense.
I think I've told you this before. I watched Miami play Nebraska in the Orange Bowl one of the years Nebraska won it all, and Tommy Frazier and is it Corey Schlesinger? Schlesinger.
Big fullback.
Just dominated, yeah.
So, but back to the point, Texas A&M, you have to own it. You have to own it. You've been a team that has frequently been ranked and frequently has face planted.
Hey, before we move on and say hi to people, let's hear from Colin Klein. So yesterday he was asked about the scrimmage, and Colin doesn't say a lot, but I think he said a lot in this bite. So let's listen to him talking about who stood out in the scrimmage over the weekend.
I think Jamari Morrow, I think really had a nice day. Was really ran the ball extremely hard, was extremely physical. Amari Daniels had some really nice, big, explosive runs. I think Ashton Bethel Roman continues to develop and use his long speed and ability to run routes. So I mean, I was really excited to see a lot of different guys step up and make plays.
Two of those names to me have come up or a lot, right? Constantly. Morrow's come up quite a bit, and Ashton Bethel Roman has come up quite a bit. Amari Daniels, I expect him to be solid as always, right? I wasn't surprised to hear his name. The other two, wasn't surprised to hear their name because I keep hearing their names.
You know what I need to do is I need to go back and look at all the I call explosive runs 20 yards or more.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if you look at his career over the last 3 years, how many explosive plays, explosive runs that Amari Daniels have, and I wonder how that compares to other. I mean, he's not gonna have more than A-Chain,
right,
or Travion Williams, but after that, he may be the next guy.
I think he was one of the only highlights in South Carolina offensively.
Well, 50-something yard run.
Yeah,
but he's had a lot of long runs in his career. I can remember one against Auburn that nailed down that win a couple of years ago.
Hey, if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us up on the Bubby's Catering and Bartending Hotline. That number is 979-693.
1150.
Yeah, thank you. I forgot for a moment. You can also text that number, 979-693-1150. We go around the room, left to right. Behind the glass is our friend and our director, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning.
Good morning, y'all.
What's up?
I got one more poll to add to the mix, if you don't mind. It's from our good friend Josh Pate, who, again, we had on the show yesterday, and he has A&M same spot as Greg McElroy, 13th. But I was listening to his podcast yesterday, and he said he could very well see, A&M, or he would have been comfortable, I should say, with putting A&M inside that top 10 to start the season, just because everything coming back. He thinks Coach Elko has taken more charge of the defense is going to make a big difference. So a lot of, I don't hate the 13th ranking, but I don't hate the 19th from the AP poll as well. Like I could see a world where both of those are completely accurate.
Aggies are getting some due respect, but no one's going overboard on them. 13 is
that's pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah. To me,
where would you have them?
I kind of like where they are at 19 or 20.
Yeah.
But to me, there's just still. I know we're not supposed to have questions, but I got to admit that the defensive line's got to show me something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they can go out and really play well, then I think you're going to have a chance to have a really big year.
Yeah.
Because I'm sticking with my thought that the offense is going to average 31 to 35 points a game, if not more, and the secondary has to be better.
How much do you think opinions based on who you cover matter to those? So, for instance, I cover A&M, and if I put them in my top 10, is met with a level of skepticism. I take Texas out of the number one spot. Oh, he's got an ulterior motive in that. Can people who cover certain programs actually, like, I have my questions about Texas, and I don't have Texas A&M, by the way, in the top 10. I had them closer to 19, 20 as well. But do you think where the opinion comes from kind of frames the way others look at it?
It can. I think what that is, you have to look at at the history.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of credibility do you have? I remember, having a conversation with Gabe back in the day, and I said, look, as a reporter, the most important thing you have is your credibility. So if you say the Aggies are going to be great every year, and then they're not, then when you say, hey, when a year comes, you think, man, these guys are really good.
Right.
Says, yeah, but he always says that.
Right.
So if I was talking to a guy up in SEC Media Days, and he was telling me, and he covers Georgia. He says, don't pick Georgia. He started listening to all the reasons not to, so I can respect that. Instead of a guy, the Bulldogs, they're always great. I remember we had a guy one time from Arkansas on, and he was talking about how good the Razorbacks are going to be because their offensive line. And I said, wait a minute, don't they lose 4 out of 5? He said, yeah, but Sam Pittman always has a good offensive line. Well, they didn't have a good offensive line.
They did not that year. You're talking about 2022. I remember that.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News' Social Center. Reese Nygren. Mr. Nygren, hello, sir.
Hello, how are y'all?
Good. First day of school, by the way.
First time.
The last time, first day of school as what do you call it? Not public school. What do you call kids like? My boys are seniors in high school, so it was their last first day.
It's the last
grade school.
First day of
grade school, right?
Of high school.
Last first day of high school. They'll have first days in college, but their last first day.
But it won't be high school.
It won't be high school.
So in about 8 to 9 months, you're going to be having all these weird.
I've already started, man.
Emotional.
Yeah.
Not, feeling like where's your life going? What?
Luckily I have 2 girls still at home, but like when they move out in 8, 9 months, if they move out, I think they will. They'll probably either go to A&M and live in a dorm or go play college soccer somewhere.
I wonder what.
I'll probably cry.
Yeah, I wonder what did Mr. and Mrs. Nygren? How did they handle you leaving?
Party time.
Leaving LaGrange.
My mom was a little emotional. My dad,
stoic.
It's a typical dad, just like.
Yeah. What's worse is when you take them to school, the college, and drop them off.
Yeah, that's what got my dad.
Yeah, that will get me.
That's what got my dad was dropping me off in my dorm.
My wife cried all the way back from Baton Rouge, and when she'd stop and she'd finally get control and composure, somebody would call to ask her how she, and then she'd start all over again.
I told this to my son Cruz yesterday. My job is to get him ready to be a man, and so not that my job will be complete when that happens, but hopefully I've set him on the right path. Though that's my job, right?
And maybe they'll go to A&M or Blinn, and you just have to. You don't actually say goodbye.
Poor thing. You check into places, last name Nuño, like I'm going to tell your dad everything you did today. Anyway, Nygren, give us something.
Another day, another preseason watch list nomination, this time to Trey Zune III for the Lombardi Award preseason watch list. The honor is given annually to the nation's most outstanding lineman. Zune, a 2-time team captain, is one of the country's top offensive linemen. After earning all SEC third team honors, Zune helped lead an offensive front that paved the way, was only one of 3 teams in the SEC and one of only 18 in college football to produce 2,500 rushing and passing yards. Zune is looking to be the first Aggie to win the award since Dat Win in 1998.
Got to get Dat on the show soon.
He's a good guy.
Great guy.
Great guy.
Yeah, Trey Zune, another great guy.
That chicken place keeps him pretty busy, though, Dat.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. Hey, let's transition from chicken to meat.
Okay. Well,
all right.
Chicken is meat.
Well, sorry. I was thinking you succulent brisket.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know how you operate. I'm more of the chicken guy. You're a sausage guy.
I like chicken.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, I prefer beef and pork. That succulent. And I prefer it from 1775 where you get the succulent brisket and that jalapeno cheese sausage and those pork ribs. Oh, those pork ribs. Man, they're amazing.
I really think we should be eating on the show.
But if you want poultry.
I like poultry.
They have the turkey as well.
You do know I eat other things, right?
Yeah, broccoli.
1775 is where I like to go, and if it wasn't for me, OB wouldn't know. So, well, you probably know.
I'd have found out.
Yeah, you would have found out because everybody knows about 1775, txbbq.com. Call them up, 979-492-6241. It is 1775.
It's good.
Hey everyone, David Nuño and Olin Buchanan and OB. Typically we start off the show in this section and we call it the Holistic Planning Cool
The cool zone, yeah. It's pretty cool.
What do we know about holistic planning?
Well, a lot of cool stuff. For instance, holistic planning can help you with your investments.
I love that.
They can help you with your taxes. So
I don't like paying taxes.
You can get that money from your investments and they keep it, they'll help you keep it away from the government.
Yep.
Not all of it, but more of it. And then they'll even help you with your estate planning. When you're old like me, you got to make sure some of that money you made is there for when you want to retire and just enjoy the rest of your life.
You want your estate to be planned. But they also do something else.
Yeah, well, if you are, like, say, a sports fan, and you've always wanted
everybody watching us, right?
Yeah. And you want to always dreamed of being an owner? Well, in a certain way you can, because they will broker the deal for you to invest in pro sports.
Yeah, what you need to do is check out investinprosports.com. That's where you can get all the information if you want to invest in a team. I don't know what team. He'd probably try to buy the Cowboys. I'd try to buy a lot of the Houston teams. Whatever it may be, investinprosports.com. It is holistic planning, and we love hanging out at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studios. Time for 25 and 25, presented by La Casa Tequila.
La Casa Tequila.
Raised in Aggie land.
Rooted in the SEC.
Just like you, buddy.
Yes.
Number 8 on the list is
linebacker Torian York.
Love him.
He's you know what I like about Torian York is he's consistent.
Yep.
He's a consistently good linebacker that still has a high upside. I think he came here as a freshman.
Started as a freshman.
Gets, I think if my memory serves me, it was 74 tackles. And then last year, I think he improved to 82. And I don't think A&M's had a 100 tackle guy since Tyrell Dodson about 7 or 8 years ago. I think York could be that guy. Finally, he's got to get better. He knows he's got to get better. You hear the coaches say, "Yeah, we had some misfits here and there." It's not all on Torian,
right?
But now he's a junior. I mean, he's already a team captain, and I think I think a lot of times in college football, there's always exceptions, but you peak. Your junior year is when you're at your very best. And I expect to see the very best of Torian York.
Two-time captain, voted a captain as a sophomore. He has started 26 consecutive games. And just, he speaks the brand, right? He gets A&M. He just fits his mentality, his personality. Such a nice young man. Not that that matters on the football field, but he I believe, demonstrates what it is to be an Aggie.
He is a great representative of A&M, no doubt. Very polite, well-spoken, like you would expect everybody to be at Texas A&M. But beyond that, he just projects. He projects well in all ways. But you know what? I don't care if a guy projects well, except on the football field. That's what's important.
But if he projects well and he's good on the football field,
well, yeah,
that's the daily double.
But I've seen guys that project really well, and I'm not going to mention names, but I got 4 or 5 that I come to right away that really weren't that good. They're okay.
I'm sitting right here.
Well, I'm talking about football players, real athletes. And Torian comes out there and he can, he's a real athlete. And he can go out there.
I get it. I get it over here. Okay.
But he's a really, he projects well, but he projects even better when he's out there making tackles. And I think he can be even better than he has been. I think this is going to be his best year.
Pro Football Focus says he posted an 85.7 tackling grade with just a 7.4 missed tackle rate, only missing 6 tackles in nearly 700 snaps. I don't know how they come up with that.
I don't either.
But thank you. Thank you for that stat.
Yeah, and I still think he can be better. And I think he will be. And you know what? I don't think you forget, but you might. He does a good job in pass defense. Remember that interception against LSU? I know he had one the year before. I can't remember who it was against. And and if you're not careful, he'll just blitz in there and get a sack or 2.
Yep. Couple other notes that I found. Last year, 2.5 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries, 4 pass breakups, forced a fumble as a freshman at Tennessee. Obviously, you mentioned the LSU interception, which was certainly a turning point in that game. He's listed for all these awards, as a potential candidate.
Walter Camp All-American, preseason All-American.
Yep. Preseason All-SEC third-team honors for 2025, ranked number 2 nationally among linebackers by Pro Football Focus. He's just on all these watch lists.
And it was funny because A&M kind of slow-played him whether or not they were going to offer him, even though Elko wanted him, but Elko was at Duke. And so he was thinking about going to Duke. And A&M came in last minute and stole him. And yet, what do you know? He's ended up with Elko anyway.
Do you see what I'm wearing?
Yeah, duck camp.
Yeah, I'm wearing duck camp.
Yeah.
I just ordered more. Should be getting it today or tomorrow.
So they get it back to you that fast?
I think I ordered it over the weekend. I think it was Thursday or Friday. It's going to be here pretty quick. Yeah, it's fast. What I like about this particular, what would you call this? Long sleeve?
Yeah, it's long sleeve tee.
Long sleeve tee, right?
Yeah.
If it's hot, it doesn't matter, right? Like it's breathable.
It's probably a perfect thing to wear out to practice.
It's not too tight, right? Because I don't like to wear tight shirts. It's not too loose. Wait, you think this is too tight?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
I'm just questioning the statement.
I'm going to tell you the why in a second, right? Let me finish talking about duck camp. But they have everything, the essential hoodie, the lightweight fishing shirt, the performance hoodie, you name it. Check it all out at duckcamp.com, built for the outdoors, designed for everything else. Here, I'm going to go with my tight shirts. Okay. Just so everybody knows, so we can put an end to it. My weight fluctuates.
Uh-huh.
I'm a 20-pound weight difference guy in a year.
Okay.
Okay? So when I used to be just a triathlete, I weighed a little bit less than I weigh now, right? And I couldn't wear larges. I wore mediums. Then I bulk up to get to the 200s. And then mediums look like I'm wearing Christian and Cruz's shirt when they were 6. I understand, but I can't keep buying a new wardrobe. So that's the why.
But if you did, you'd get it at duck camp.
See? There you go. All right, we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Got a couple different things I want to do this segment. But before we do some of the things that I want to do, I want to read this comment. I'm trying to find it where it went on TexAgs Super Chat. I'll let Reese Nygren at the Angry Elephant do it because Calvin 1 has a comment. You don't have it open? No. I have mine open, if not.
I got it now.
Okay. Thanks for being prepared.
I'm sorry.
Calvin 1 wants to talk about if the Ags end up 8-4.
If Ags end up 8-4, will be tough to crack the top 25. Understand polls reflect today, with the D needing much help after last year and losing defensive line players and almost new receiving core. Hard for me to place Aggies much higher than 25-30. Plus, it's a tough road schedule this year. Gotta remember, we've only had 2 or 3 years over the past 25 with fewer than 4 losses.
Mm-hmm.
Obi, so
that's true.
So here's my question for you: Would an 8-4 team be 19th in the rankings?
No.
Okay. So you have them. I don't think you've said definitively 9-3, 8-4, have you? You haven't said that.
I feel like that this is a team that should be no worse than 9-3, but recent history has told me that there's going to be a game that there's no way they should lose, and they'll lose it.
So
now they got to buck that trend.
Right.
And I think this team can buck that trend, but I'm like a Missouri person now. You got to show me.
So I am closer to 8-4 than I am 9-3, but I have them probably at 19th or 20th in the country, which would mean they'd be closer to 9-3. So I think I'm looking at it as if these things play the way I think they should, 9-3 is why I have them at potentially 19th. But because of what you just said, history has told me things derail. That's why then I was like, I may go back another area.
I think this is has the real, not pie in the sky, but the real ability to be a 10-win team.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that. Now, that's putting a lot of that's not factoring in injuries, the possibility of injuries, and that's expecting a guy like DJ Hicks, to have a breakout year, to be the guy we always thought he would, because they need him to be. I know what I'm going to get with Albert Regis, and I think I'm going to get something great from Cassius Howell, and there's a lot of promise with Kennedy.
Yeah.
But DJ Hicks came here, you expect this guy to be, just this war horse in there. And he's shown flashes, but, you need to see that exceptional ability on a consistent basis.
All right, let's go back to Reese Nygren at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Okay, we've got stats that every SEC team led with, correct? So one stat that each team in the SEC led that category with. Okay, and we're going to go through some of these. He's going to give us some context. Kay Nagley sent me this graphic, I think a week ago, and, unfortunately, wow, that's hard to read from here. So let's go straight to it, Mr. Nygren.
Okay. So Alabama had the most rushing touchdowns in the SEC in 2024.
Am I right that that's because of Jalen Milroe?
Jalen Milroe had 20 of the 41.
Wow. That won't be the case this year.
Yeah, I think, I agree that won't be the case. Jalen Milroe was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And he was most dangerous when he was running the football. I mean, he could throw. We saw him, unfortunately, throw the ball well here, but he was most dangerous running.
He led the team in rushing yards last season.
Next stat.
Arkansas had the longest pass of 94 yards.
In the bowl game, Taylor Green, correct?
Yes.
Give it who did they play?
They played Memphis, I think.
Taylor Green's pretty good, man.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback.
That's exactly what good. And good can beat you.
Yes. If you're not ready.
Yep.
Good can beat you. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he's a dual threat.
Tech.
They played Tech. Okay, sorry.
Oops.
All right, let's go to the next one. This is one that I was telling you before the show. Was I right about what was it Hank Brown or no? Okay, give me more.
So Auburn had the most yards per carry in a single game at 9.83, but it was against Alabama A&M.
Oh, okay.
And they had one running back have a carry for 24 yards. So they only ran it 17 times. So
it's not Jarquez Hunter there.
Yeah, no. Alabama A&M.
Yeah.
And then next one up, Florida with the most punts inside the 20 at 25. They were second in the SEC in punts throughout the season.
So they had second most punts, and all of them were pretty good.
Yeah, about half of them were inside.
I remember one against don't I against A&M, with pinned A&M back on like the 1, and then Le'Veon Moss went like 30 yards.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yep, Flugate. Yeah, I remember that well.
Yeah.
Next up is Georgia with the most completions in a game with 36. They did throw the ball 48 times against Mississippi State.
36, that means 75%.
Yeah.
White Oak education.
Well, that wasn't, he threw 51, I believe, against Alabama that last year.
Well, I think what we're learning is a lot of these stats are based on
one game.
Well, yeah, and also who the game is against.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so. All right, next one.
Kentucky with the fewest passing touchdowns allowed at 9. However, they were second worst in the SEC in rushing yards allowed per game at 168.
So you can run on them, just can't pass on them.
Next up, LSU with the most kick return yards. They did have Xavion Thomas led the SEC in total returns by like 6. So you return it more, you're going to end up with more yards. Mississippi State is next up with the fewest field goals allowed at 10.
You know why? Because they give up touchdowns.
Allowed the most touchdowns in the SEC by 10.
By 10.
They were 10 touchdowns worse than the second worst.
I did not look up that stat. I just knew, like, of course.
And then next up, Missouri, most successful 2-point conversions at 5, but they also had the third fewest PAT attempts in the SEC.
I'm trying to figure out the why behind that. I feel like they scored quite a bit. Got nothing.
Got nothing.
Yeah. Next up, Oklahoma with the most tackles for loss against AP ranked teams with 52. However, they went 1-4
in those games
against.
And Danny Stutzman, who probably had a lot of them, is no longer on that defense.
Really good defense, really bad offense.
Ole Miss had the most yards per completion at 15.5. Oh, I messed that one up. I said they were thrown on the most in the SEC because I thought it was they allowed.
But they threw.
They threw.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart and
RPO.
And Trey Moore.
Yeah. And now Austin Simmons will have to carry the load.
South Carolina had the most sacks in a game with 9. It was against Oklahoma when they were kind of tossing up between who their quarterback was.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma turned the ball over 4 times.
Oklahoma's showing up here quite a bit.
Tennessee had the fewest field goals allowed, but they only allowed 16 points per game, and opponents only had 37 red zone opportunities.
Fantastic defense last year, so that's why.
The University of Texas had the most games played with 16, but they made it all the way
to the semifinal.
I
don't really care about them.
As we know, Texas A&M, the lowest completion percentage allowed at 53.3%. But they did allow the 4th most passing yards per game.
Big plays, OB. Big plays. I mean, I remember early in the season, we were talking about big plays, and somebody was like, dude, it's like early in the season. Like, I go, it's a trend. Until you stop it, it's a trend.
Remember the Bowling Green? Now, that guy was really good. That tight end, I can't think of his name right. Fanning.
Harold Fanning Jr.
And was it like the first or second play of the second half, 60-yard touchdown pass?
Yep.
And it was just a recurring nightmare.
This last one I find to be interesting.
The most safeties for Vanderbilt with 2.
So they got the most safeties, or they were safetied?
I believe they had.
I know that's not the right English, but.
Yeah.
I got something for you here.
Okay.
I'm going to go through some, and you tell me who was the worst.
Is this long or short?
No, it could be as short as or as long as.
Or do you want to hold it for the second?
We'll hold it.
Let's hold it because we're right on the time. Milliken Reserve, farm to table community in College Station. They've got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature, and they've done so by treading lightly on that beautiful land that you can find Milliken Reserve on. They want to connect families to nature and to each other. When you go there, you'll be outdoors, you'll love it. Even if you don't live there, go enjoy the area where you can go hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking. You've got equestrian trails there. You've got evening yoga. You've got summer festivals, summer camps, you name it. They are fantastic, and they provide a natural setting for people to connect and come together. 3 awesome neighborhoods as well, the Creek, the Hollow, the Meadows. All of them are amazing. Check it out, millikenreserve.com. That is millikenreserve.com.
Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olsen wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, I cut you off. You had a stat.
Well, no, I'm going to ask you just. I'm going to give you the category, and you tell me what team do you think was last in the SEC last year?
Okay, I hope A&M's not allowed on this.
Rushing offense. Who was last in rushing offense last year?
Think about that. Who was last?
The worst rushing offense in the SEC.
The worst rushing offense in the SEC was Mississippi State.
No, they were 14th. It was the LSU Tigers.
I should have known that. I know that they were going to make a commitment to running this year.
Now, they got a long way to go. Okay, you're going to probably get this. The worst passing offense in the SEC.
The worst? Kentucky.
No, they were 14th.
Okay, I'm good at 14.
Yeah.
Who was the worst?
Oklahoma.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
So far, I suck at this game.
Let's go to the defense out.
Okay.
The worst rushing defense in the SEC.
The worst rushing defense in the SEC. LSU?
Mississippi State.
Oh, gosh. What was
LSU was 12th.
Okay. So I'm in the ballpark.
And then the worst passing defense. The worst passing defense in the SEC last year was
A&M?
No.
Oh, who was it? The Piggies?
The Pigs. The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Okay.
Gave up an average of 246.9 yards a game in passing yards a game last year.
By the way, Kay Nagley did tell me the stat. So the safeties was how many times Pavio was sacked. So he was sacked twice for a safety last year.
The worst team in the SEC for penalties last year.
A&M.
The most penalized. A&M was 13th.
Okay, I knew they were close.
Yeah, they were. It was Ole Miss.
Okay.
72 yards a game. And the worst for sacks allowed was Oklahoma. The fewest sacks by any team was Mississippi State. I'm kind of, I guess, fascinated by the teams that failed spectacularly.
A 2-game improvement on any season is considered good, right?
Yeah. Well, unless you were winless.
So if Florida State goes to 4, that's not a good season,
no.
Right? If how bad was I think Mississippi State was 2-10 last year,
Something like that.
Right?
They weren't good.
A&M the year they went 5-7 to 7-5. That wasn't good enough. But if they go 8-4 to 10-2, now we're talking.
Now we're talking. And now you're in the playoff, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. But you got to be better.
Got to be better. Obi, thank you, buddy.
Yep.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, looks like we're going to have John Harris on the show. Looking forward to talking to Johnny. And Kay Nagley just telling me that DeMarvin Leal is going to be on the show here on Friday. So
about that,
looking forward to that.
That old former. Is he a former?
We got to play the picture of me wearing his glasses at SEC Media Days from 21. I don't know if you remember that. It was fun. We got to go. Thank you, Obi. Yep. And we are back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, hour number 2 of the program. Waiting on Johnny Harris to join us here on the show here in a moment. Before we talk to John, let's go. By the way, there's you're a Houston guy, right?
Yeah.
Like Houston sports fan,
Yeah.
I feel like, right?
Yes.
There was a big controversy with C.J. Stroud. Did you see that yesterday?
Yeah, apparently he got too emotional over his tight end getting hurt.
Yeah, so his tight end who missed all of last season got hurt. And then, I think Clint Sterner, who's been on this show many times, just didn't think it was a good look for CJ to cry. I know he cried when Tank Dell went down a couple years back.
That was last year.
Was it? Yeah. So much to do about nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a crier when it comes to family.
Yeah.
And I don't judge dudes that do or don't, right? Like, just you be you, bro. We do have Johnny, you said? All right, let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. John Harris of the Houston Texans. He's their sideline reporter. And, of course, you can find him on footballtakeover.com. Johnny, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, David. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thought we could start things off with some Aggie stuff. Offensive line. We know they were pretty good last year. They should be deeper this year, A, because of the guys who are healthy that got hurt last year, and B, some of the young men that they brought along. So how big of a step can a pretty darn good offensive line make in another year of the same system with the core group?
I think it's huge, honestly. I mean, I think about every good team that throughout time, whether it's high school, college, NFL, I mean, Pop Warner. If you have continuity on the offensive line, you've got a pretty decent shot of being pretty good as long as the makeup of that group is right. Now, the one thing that no one can really know other than the guys in that room, how does NIL impact that room? Are there any kind of petty jealousies? Do those guys get along? Is it 5 fingers in a glove sort of stuff? Last year we had the same offensive line or similar pieces on the offensive line with the Texans, and it was an abject disaster. We didn't have great coaching on the offensive line. The offensive coordinator didn't really help them out with, things they struggled with during games. But in the college level, if you've got 2-3 studs, which I think A&M does, and they all fit together really well, I think the sky's the limit, honestly. Then at that point, it's on, okay, the offensive line is not an issue. Then do we have a good leader at quarterback? Hell yeah, we do. Do we have pieces at wide receiver that can make plays, playmakers? Yes, we do. We have arguably one of the better running back rooms in the SEC. Man, this could get really, really good. And we felt like we had that going into 2024. We didn't think we had the best offensive line, but we felt like there were some talented pieces. Oh, they'll come around. Oh, it'll be fine. We got to week 7, less than halfway through the season. We got to Green Bay. We're like, they're not fine. They don't know what they're doing. They look like they're independent contractors, and the offense looked like a mess. So to me, with what A&M has on the offensive line, guys that have been together, they don't strike me as independent contractors. It feels like they're coached well. It feels like they got better and better last year even. And to me, that's a telltale sign. When you see a group get better throughout a year, then the right things are being coached. That the guys are absorbing the coaching, and you could do what you want because you've got experience at the most important position on the entire roster. And you could be good everywhere else. But if you suck there, then your offense is going to suck, basically.
Talking to John Harris here on TexAgs Live. John, let's now focus a little bit on the tight ends because yesterday Colin Klein talked about, he uses tight ends a lot and he feels really good about this group, but it kind of depends on the personnel he has. Do you expect A&M this year to use the tight end a little bit more than they did last year?
Like, I would say yes. But I think it's funny when it comes to tight ends because tight ends, I don't know the right way of saying this, but the personnel packages matter so much for tight ends because they really tell you, do we have 1 on the field, 2 on the field, 3 on the field, et cetera. And a lot of times when you game plan and when offensive coordinators start to game plan, I don't want to say the tight end gets forgotten about, but all of a sudden you see your offensive coordinators drawing up all these pass plays and they're 11 personnel the whole time. And you only got one tight end on the field. And that tight end's being used to block and help the left tackle because left tackle can't protect. Now, like we just said with the offensive line, that shouldn't be an issue. But I feel like a lot of offensive coordinators think that way. They think about, oh, what passing scheme can I use here? I think Colin Klein thinks the other, not completely the other way, but I think he looks at it as, you know, what offensive play is best here? What grouping is best? I don't mind A&M getting in 12 personnel because I think their offensive line, their running backs, allow them to run the football. And so getting in 12 personnel, which is one back, two tight ends, I think gives them an opportunity to be, you know, pretty multiple because I feel like they're pretty athletic at tight end. But I think Colin Klein is the type of guy and the type of offensive coordinator that won't forget about the physical aspect of what they're seeing. Okay, Alabama lines up in this. Well, we can get 12 personnel. We can run the football against this. A lot of offensive coordinators don't think that way. They think back to front. They want to throw the ball. We want to beat that defense throwing the ball. And I think Colin Klein's a little different. I think he wants to beat teams any way he can. And if it means that they've got to put three tight ends on the field to do it. And they'll run quarterback power, you know, they won't do it as much with Marcel, but they can still schedule some runs for Marcel. So I do think he will remain multiple with his groups. Whereas I think other offensive coordinators would look at it and go, man, I want to get all my wide receivers on the field, all these sexy guys, let's get them out there and let's throw the ball. Like, I don't think that Colin Klein looks at that as A&M's and his identity. I think he looks at it as, you know, we want to physically beat you up. And we got an offensive line to do it. We got running backs that get downhill. And we got a quarterback that if you make the wrong read and your eye discipline is bad, he can embarrass you too. So I do think that A&M's usage of tight ends is probably going to remain what it was or even increase just a little bit because I think Colin thinks a little differently than other offensive coordinators.
Talking to Johnny Harris here on TexAgs Live, how big of a step do you think Marcel has to take for this team to be in the mix again come November for the playoffs?
Well, I think it's a significant step, but I think what's helped Marcel is, you know, he played a lot last year, so he can build on that confidence that he got last year. But there are a lot of lessons to learn. You got to play the game at a higher rate of speed when you're playing Texas. You know, you got to play the game a little bit at a higher rate of speed. You know, when it's not a bowl game, when you know, Oklahoma State isn't playing, you know, everybody on that side of the ball. So I think Marcel learned a lot about how fast the game is. And I think what will be telling about Marcel is 2-3 weeks into the year, if he talks about, yeah, the game is slowing down for me, that'll be the telltale sign. If he's not saying that, I would worry a little bit. But I feel like if he, the first couple of weeks is like, yeah, man, I'm starting to see things. The things are slowing down because I'm much more comfortable. I know what I should be looking at. And then, look, I get out of danger with my legs when I have to. I think Marcel can be very dangerous. But I feel like those first couple games, that's what you're going to hear from him if things are going in the right direction. If they're not, I think it's going to be telling in the production, oh, man, he threw a pick here. Made the wrong decision there. But I don't see Marcel as that kind of quarterback. I feel like Marcel makes really good decisions with the ball, whether to throw, whether to run, throw the ball away, take profit on first down, take a little check down to his running backs, get it to 2nd and 4 instead of being 2nd and 10. Even though he's a mobile quarterback, I don't think he's the kind of guy that runs around in the backfield, you know, trying to make a play on 2nd and 9 and get sacked and makes it 2nd and 20. I think he's going to make a good decision. Hey, this isn't a good play. Throw the ball away, slide down on a scramble, whatever it might be. But I feel like the game is going to slow down for him, and I think he is going to excel as a result of that.
Johnny, what do you think the level of concern should be in Baton Rouge about Nuss and his tendonitis in his knee? And I know Brian Kelly was downplaying it, and it's probably nothing yet, but should there be a level of concern?
I think anytime you're talking about a quarterback dealing with something, especially the straw that stirs the drink the way he does at LSU, I think there's got to be a modicum of, like, angst. But again, none of us know how bad it actually is. I've never had tendonitis in my knee, so I don't know. So I can't speak to that. Like Matt Stafford with the Rams, I've had an aggravated disc in my back. I can speak to how painful that is and how much I don't think Matt Stafford's going to be ready for week 1 against the Houston Texans. Tendonitis in the knee, it can be bothersome. You can play through it. Nussmeier strikes me as a guy that's going to try and play through it to the degree that he can. So they've got some tough ball games early on. So I think that's going to be a great test for LSU. But, they're breaking in a couple of new receivers. Now, I think they're really talented at receiver. Aaron Anderson, I think, is one of the better slot receivers in the country. We'll see what Hilton's got. Seems like he's been there for about 9 years. But I think if he's out of that lineup, I don't know what that offense ends up being. I mean, you look around going, well, these look like a bunch of really interesting puzzle pieces, but for 4 or 5 different puzzles. Feels like Nussmeier pulls all the pieces together and makes it a cohesive offense. And look, they can say all they want about an improved defense and, we've got, we're going to be much better. They've been talking about a much better defense under Brian Kelly since he arrived, and that has not happened. So to me, I'm not saying it's Nussmeier or bust, but if it's not Nuss, I don't know how they're going to win big games this year. I really don't. I don't know how they're going to beat good teams if they can't put 30 up on the board. And I think with Nussmeier on a bad day, they could put up 30. So I'd be concerned, but we're still, a couple weeks out, 3 weeks out from their opener. That probably gives Nuss a little time to get ready. But how much practice time is he missing? How disjointed does that make the offense when he does come back? And then how healthy is he when he starts the first game? I think those will all be things that if there's any sort of question about it, if I'm Brian Kelly, I probably hold him until I get to SEC play. But again, those are the only two in the LSU medical staff that know how bad it actually is. And look, it could be a way worse than we know. And then that would, I think, shoot LSU's season to 6-6 at best. But if he's able to walk, I think he is going to try and play. And I think he'll adapt. I don't think you'll see Nuss trying to scramble as much and try and be as, Johnny Manziel-like. I think he'll try and stay in the pocket and deliver as much as that offensive line, a group that is going to be a renovated one because you think both tackles gone, starting guards both gone. They're having to, retool that entire offensive line, and that's another thing that they've got to consider. So I think from that standpoint, I'd be worried a little bit, but I'm not going to panic just yet until Brian Kelly says, yeah, Nussmeier's out for a week or two, or Nussmeier's out for the opener. That's when I would start to worry if I'm LSU. But I can't imagine a new quarterback behind 4 new offensive linemen at a minimum on the offensive line. Like, holy crap, that's going to be a tough road to hoe.
Johnny, let's talk Notre Dame for a moment. The fact that the quarterback battle there is lingering, or at least in the media's eyes, it's lingering. C.J. Carr was expected to be the guy. He might end up being the guy. Kenny Minchie, apparently it's neck and neck with maybe C.J. having a little bit of an advantage. Is that a big deal at this point? I know obviously it'll be a big deal when you get to week 1, but is it a big deal right now?
Yes and no. I go back to when I think about quarterback battles, I go back to 2010. And I remember Cam Newton had gone to Auburn. And there was kind of this similar talk about, well, there's this quarterback battle between this guy and Cam Newton. And, I don't know. Is Cam going to get the job? It looks like, maybe they'll alternate. All this nonsense was coming out, from Auburn. And then Cam played the first game. It's like, man, what y'all talking about? This dude's a stud. Are you guys crazy? So I tend not to buy media thoughts on quarterbacks. And look, there's some good Notre Dame media. There's some that if I sat down with Pete Sampson from Irish Illustrated, I would know and feel a lot better about Notre Dame football and Notre Dame quarterbacks, whatever it might be. But there are a lot of things that go on behind closed doors that nobody knows. And so how are those quarterbacks reacting in meetings? What are they seeing in meetings that they then, coaches are happy with or not happy with? So my point in that is, I don't know what really to make a lot of times about what the media is saying about a quarterback battle in particular, because certain quarterback or certain coaches might be looking for certain things. I do think it ends up being CJ Carr, and that's why Steve Angeli ended up moving on to Syracuse, because I do think it is CJ Carr. But that said, at this point, if you don't really know, like, okay, it can still come together. And you can still, in the next couple of weeks, that as you get ready for A&M, you can still find that guy, but you better find it and lock into it pretty soon. If you still have questions going in and we're going to alternate quarterbacks until we know we have, like, if you're Notre Dame, this game is as important as any game on your schedule because of how good A&M is and the bump you get in all this playoff nonsense. Notre Dame has no conference that they can go 0-3 to start the season, but then win 9 conference games, win the championship, and get a playoff bid. That they don't have that opportunity. They've got to play well in games that matter, and this is a game that matters for them. So they got to get settled, I think, on it. Maybe they are, and maybe that happens soon. Maybe they've been settled on it the whole way, and they're just giving the media a different look each day in practice. Who knows? But I'm with Jeremiah Love in the backfield. You could put the man upstairs, Jesus, touchdown Jesus, next to Jeremiah Love, and it would be just fine, because Love is going to be one of the best offensive players in the country, bar none. I mean, he might be a first-round pick as a running back, which tells you something. I think he's that good. They're going to rely on him and Price. They can just go 1-2, run the ball 40 times a game, and it may not matter who's playing quarterback at that point. So I'm not too worried about that. It's a really good offensive line, a very talented offensive line. I think A&M is going to see Jeremiah Love and Price a lot in week 1 as they try and work whatever quarterback it is into the game.
Talking to John Harris here on TexAgs Live. Johnny, let's close out with some Texans thoughts. Obviously, the situation at practice, I believe it was yesterday, kind of set the scene with Jordan's injury and just the prognosis, what you're hearing, anything new on that?
No, nothing new. Brett put on IR yesterday, tore the same ACL that he had torn the year before. Pretty tough scene at practice. You know, the nonsense that came out about CJ crying or whatever, for people that weren't even there at practice. You can miss me with that. To me, that was pretty egregiously sports radio bad, what's been said about that situation. And I heard you as I was coming on the show. I know you said, hey, look, some people are criers, some aren't. I mean, to me, like, who cares?
Yep.
Like, why does that matter? And I think what was said was that, oh, the players in the locker room laugh at CJ when he's like this. And I was like, man, they're in a thing further from the truth. These guys follow CJ left, right, and sideways. And, I think one of the things that bothers me, look at what happened in Kansas City. Tank Dell gets hurt, and after that, CJ was terrible. No, he wasn't. Look at the first drive right after CJ, right after Tank got hurt. We stopped the Chiefs on 4th down. We don't do anything on 2 plays. It's 3rd and 12. CJ throws a dime to Dalton Schultz for a first down, and it kept the drive alive. Could have kicked the field goal and taken the lead, and Schultz dropped the ball. So did Dalton drop the ball because CJ was upset about Tank being injured? So you can miss me with this nonsense about crime, whatever. Get lost, man. I want a quarterback that loves his teammates, goes to bat for his teammates, and battles his ass off on Sundays. And that is what CJ Stroud is. Any other nonsense that comes out of sports radio from Houston or any other market about that, they can miss me with that. Absolutely, I thought it was horrible. I thought it was horrible. Absolutely terrible that something was said like that on the radio here in Houston.
Well, I think, Johnny, not to make it just about that, but I think our industry has become, what can I say to draw up conversation, as opposed to just speak your heart, man. And until you're in somebody's shoes to speak about, I don't want to make too much about the CJ thing, but when Cruz, my son, broke his wrist, I don't know, it was like 3 years ago on vacation, we had a soccer tournament. I cried. Like, people cry. So what? Who cares? Like, move on.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I am probably more emotional than I need to be. I cry at a lot of things. I heard Brev's sobs at practice. Like, I heard him. I mean, I was doing all I could not to cry. I can only imagine what people that knew Brev even better than I do, what they were feeling, knowing what he had gone through. So, I was pretty disgusted by what was said, and then said even further after that. But look, it's a tough one. We'll miss Brev. I think from a football standpoint, I think we'll be okay. But I do think that Brev was due to have a pretty big year. He put in a lot of work, and I think this offense was going to have some, as we talked about earlier, Colin Klein and tight ends. This offense is going to have some tight ends, production baked into this thing for sure, because our OC is a guy who coached tight ends for 10 years. So that was going to be part of the offense. So we're going to miss that a little bit, and we're going to have to move on. But I think just supporting Brev and being there for him is going to be big. But, yeah, all the other nonsense, yeah, you can miss me with that.
Johnny, appreciate you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Love you, bro. See you.
Love you, bro. That's my guy, John Harris, here on TexAgs Live. We'll hit a break here. When we come back on the program, I want you to hear a part of my interview with Noah McHale. He came to the studio, very impressive young man, the linebacker from California. I think you're going to really like that interview. We did a Texas Aggies United interview with him yesterday. We'll play a part of that. And after that, the film guy, he's going to join us, Austin Brooks, and he's going to break down why he thinks A&M is going to lead the SEC in rushing. It'll be a good conversation. Right now, if your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during the marquee events held throughout the year. We're talking some fun events like Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, and The Gathering. They welcome tens of thousands of guests to these events, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities to get your brand in front of those attendees. And they offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options. You can promote your brand through title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence, activation, and recognition in social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner that's been with the organization supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It is the Association of Former Students. All right, friends, David Nuño here. While I don't drink a lot of vodka or tequila, my wife does, and that's okay. I can talk all about it here because it's time for Frio Vodka and Rio Agave Tequila, and they're ready to raise their game with the right team, and it starts with Texas brands at Total Wine and More. And before we cheer our Texas Aggies on to victory, we need to stock up on tailgating with the right partners when it comes to adult beverages. And that's why we love Frio Vodka and Rio Agave Tequila. And they're proud to be in their second year as sponsors of TexAgs. And now through Labor Day, this is really important. All profits will be doubled and donated to the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. It's Texans helping Texas. That's right, the local brand and diehard Aggie fans are continuing support for our state. We're talking about Frio Vodka, not some orange and black labeled brand. Frio, it's 6 times distilled, handmade, crisp, clean vodka. This is the only vodka that should be poured in Aggieland. And Rio Agave Tequila is ideal for Aggies, whether it's the award-winning additive-free Blanco Tequila or the tasty ranch waters using 100% blue agave. You can taste the passion and dedication in every sip. These premium products are about supporting Aggieland and the Texas A&M community. All right, friends, this season, keep it in the family and pour with a purpose. Pour Frio Vodka and Rio Agave Tequila.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. So in a few minutes, I'll talk to Brooks Austin about A&M's rushing attack. We'll be doing that here in the next 10 minutes or so. But before that, let's listen to Noah McHale yesterday as he came in the studio, our Texas Aggies United interview. All right, another Texas Aggies United interview here on TexAgs.com. Noah McHale in studio, the freshman linebacker joining us. What's up, man?
What's up? It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for coming in.
Yes, sir.
All right, so you were telling me you got here right before the bowl game. Tell me about these last eight and a half months.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. Just coming in for the bowl game, getting to experience what that was like was really cool. Obviously, getting to practice with the team to see how that whole situation went down was a really fun experience, especially being in Vegas for that bowl game. So, and then just getting back here in January and kind of hitting the ground running. With workouts the first about 4 weeks, then getting into spring ball and learning a lot in spring ball, and then just coming back summer and fall. So.
Was there a moment where you're like, oh, okay, this talent is different? Like, you knew it was different, but then kind of experienced, like, okay, everybody's good here.
Yeah, so, and I think we have a really talented team this year, like, across the board. Every position is, like, really skilled. So every practice is, like, top-notch competition. Like, it's anyone's game. But I think I really started to notice that at the start of spring ball, when it's like, if you don't bring your A game every single day, you're gonna get beat. Like, if you're not doing your best every day, you're not gonna win the rep, or you're not gonna win the team period, or whatever the situation was. So when I realized that, I think it kind of kicked into me too, that like, we got a really talented team this year.
Well, let's talk about that linebacker room, because not only do you have some talented dudes in that room, you've got some guys that played a lot of football. So I assume you've picked their brains from Scooby, from Torian, the whole crew. Talk to me about that room.
Yeah, that's a great room of guys. They're always trying to help out. When I came in, obviously having a lot of questions, new defensive scheme that I'm just learning for the first time. So being able to lean on those guys and ask questions whenever I needed them, it was a really big help.
Cali pipeline to Texas A&M. There's a lot of guys coming over. Marco, obviously. So talk to me about, like, I guess, how A&M became attractive to you, and then why you picked A&M.
Yeah, so I have family up in Dallas, so I'm pretty familiar with Texas already. And then I think my sophomore year I came on a visit here. I like the place and everything, but it was still the old staff, so that just really wasn't a fit for me. And then when Coach Bateman and Coach Elko, finally had hit me up, and then obviously Coach Elko came out to see me. I took some visits here. I was like, okay, this is somewhere I could see myself being.
So let's talk about Coach Elko coming to see you. What did that mean? The head guy who, he had a different pitch. What did it mean to you?
Yeah, he has a different pitch than anybody. He's a realist. He's going to tell you straight up how it is, and I think that's something I really like, because the truth is the truth. And when you're given that, it kind of separates itself from other people.
Not to talk down on other ones, but I mean, I've heard that from countless people. Like, Coach Elko's going to tell you where you stand right now, and it's up to you to change that.
Yeah, he'll tell you straight up how it is, and he's not going to be easy on you either. He's going to push you to be your best every day.
Is it hard for a younger player to, who knows what's going to happen this year, but to know that, like, I got to develop, I got to wait my time, I got to learn from these guys, I got to find my path. If it's special teams, if it's every little opportunity I get, is that difficult, or is it you're still in the, like, hey, I'm learning, I'm kind of excited about where we are?
Yeah, I think how I'm kind of approaching that is wherever the team needs me, kind of type of deal, whether that's special teams, whether that's defense, whatever that case may be, and just trying to give my all on every single element of the game, whether that is a special teams play or that is on defense, just giving my all every time.
So before we started recording, you talked about the heat here. So How much of a home field advantage do you really feel it is for, you know what it's like in California to come here and to get acclimated to this weather?
Yeah, I mean, people say it's hot in California, and it is, but Texas heat is different. It's the humidity, it's a whole different animal. And I think honestly that's a big help, because when you play noon games here, especially in September, those are hot.
Yeah. All right, Brooks Austin coming up next here on the program. Why A&M is going to lead the SEC in rushing. We'll do that on the other side. Right now, Caldwell Country Chevrolet. By the way, more of that interview of Noah McHale on TexAgs.com. A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. If you're a business owner and you're ready to take your operation to the next level and you need some vehicles for your fleet, they'll take care of you at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. If you're just a normal Joe like myself, they'll take care of you at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They are fantastic when it comes to a great selection, great customer service, great people, and of course, complimentary oil change for life on the life of your purchase as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the line and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. the first movie you think about when you hear this song?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Good answer. That's the only answer. I'm sure it's been in 20.
Never seen it.
You've never seen Guardians of the Galaxy, Brooks?
I am Groot. No, I haven't.
Okay. Brooks
Sorry.
Austin, the film guy, joining us here on TexAgs Live, breaking down a little A&M rushing attack. You can also check out his work as he covers Georgia for the SI Network. What's up, brother?
Nothing much, man. I got too much football to watch to be out here watching Guardians of the Galaxy, to be honest with you.
Dude, you were like 9 when that came out.
I was 9?
Like, you were a kid when that came out. It was 2012, 2014.
Oh, dude, I was a junior in high school at that point.
Oh man, you're old.
I was an adult. I was driving around, getting into miscellaneous activities. We were up and about at that time in my life.
Well, at that point in 2014, I was a father of 4. Anyway, let's move on. Why will A&M lead potentially the SEC in rushing? What is your main? You have a great video. I recommend not only listening to this interview, but checking out his post that I think it was yesterday. But give us some reasons why.
Yeah, so a couple of reasons. First of all, not too much of a projection from last season, right? They finished second in the league last year in rushing, while trying to figure out who the hell their quarterback was last year. They were a dynamic and explosive run game with Marcel Reed, tried to rely a little bit more on the explosive pass game when Connor Weigman was in there, and they're kind of doing this he-ho-hum-haw, who's our guy routine last year, and still finished second in the league in rushing, only behind Tennessee, who, as long as Josh Heupel is there, Tennessee's going to run the football really, really well. I think a lot of people from the outside look at Tennessee's offense and think it's some kind of like spread, funning, gun, like throwing offense. No, buddy. They're going to run the rock out there at Tennessee, and they're always going to. But they lost Dylan Sampson, who I thought was the most underrated football player in this conference last year. Dylan Sampson was the primary reason, in my opinion, that Tennessee was a playoff team last year, and they're replacing him with Deshaun Bishop, who Deshaun Bishop's a good football player. Peyton Lewis, good football player. But Deshaun Bishop was a former walk-on, and I thought Dylan Sampson did more with less last year than anybody else in the conference. So I think Tennessee takes a step back, and I think Texas A&M takes a step forward. But more than that, guys, it's the personnel, right? You know this more than anybody, Nuño. They're returning a lot of offensive line production, but I think they've got the deepest running back room in college football. I know Notre Dame's is too deep. They got a really, really good superstar in Jeremiah Love. Number 24 is really, really good. I know Texas is deep. They got a bunch of football players. But I think Texas A&M has 4 high-quality SEC serviceable, winnable backs at the position in a sport where, like, guys, Ohio State's got 1. Ohio State's projecting James Peoples. That's one of the biggest rosters and best recruiting rosters in the sport. They don't have 4. Georgia doesn't have 4. They got 7 options. They don't have 4 answers. Texas A&M's the deepest, not to mention Colin Klein. I am really, really bullish on what Colin Klein is going to be able to do and what I am considering to be his first full year as an offensive coordinator. I know he got there last year, but I just told you, they were trying to figure out who they were last year. They just spent the last 8 months knowing who they are and figuring out how to be successful with that identity.
How much of it is going to be predicated on Marcel taking a step as a passer? Which, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, you hear that they'll do against them. All right, run on us. We're going to put everybody here until Marcel proves that he can throw on us, which, by the way, he proved he could throw last year, but that's somehow taken away from him.
It is. I mean, everyone gets too caught up in deep ball stats. I feel like nowadays, like, oh, how accurate are you on 25-plus yard throws? My question is, what do the 25-plus yard throws look like? Like, what am I asking you to do? Not what are the results? And I think what they were asking him to do when throwing the ball down the field last year was to hit vertical shots off of play action or off of RPO. They're difficult throws. They're 40 yards downfield in one-on-one man-to-man coverage, right? So I think you might take a step back in passing this year just because I don't think you're as big and as daunting as you were a year ago. Like, when I studied Texas A&M last year on film, I thought they were the biggest team in the conference. You basically lived in 12 personnel. You had 17 and 84 on the field at all times, right? And Noah Thomas was on the field. So every single down last year at A&M, you had 3 6'5" plus 220-pound plus weapons. This year, correct me if I'm wrong, Nuño, you're going to be relying on Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver, 2 individuals who are not big. You know what I mean? Unless Jerome Lyles or Lyles or Miles, unless he gets healthy, that's your biggest threat outside, correct? In terms of size, right?
Yeah. Or Amari Knight, like the tight end, who might get a lot of passes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's an A&M show. We've been projecting the Nye Black thing for 5 years now, okay? We've been projecting Nye Black to be an impactful football player for a long time now. I believe in the skill sets. I always have. Can we see it? I'm the same way with a lot of the other names in this conference. Like, I know Georgia's wide receiver core is supposed to be talented on paper. Can I see it? Can y'all not lead the nation in drops? Can I see it? That's my thing with what's going on in some of these position groups.
Brooks, let's. So I was reading some of the comments on your page. I chuckled because I understood the point. Like when you're an internet commenter troll, like you're going to find one thing and make that the whole basis of your argument. I thought it was at least a good talking point. One guy is like, you're projecting A&M to do this, but they rushed against one of the easiest defenses all season long until they played against Texas and Notre Dame. So when people are projecting A&M's rush total against a softer defense outside of Notre Dame and Texas, how do you respond to that?
A couple of things. One, they repeat the schedule this year. So if you thought last year's schedule was manageable and easy, they got the same one this year, just flipping the home and aways. Okay, so if the rush defenses that they played last year were porous, they probably going to be porous again this year. Also, if we're holding people to the standard of, well, what you do against Texas's defense last year, then everybody's going to suck. I'm just letting you know. Texas's defense last year, I thought was the best in the sport. Okay, I thought that from top to bottom, defensive line to safeties to corners, Texas had the best defense, bar none, last year. So, yeah, if that's the standard, Notre Dame close second. If that's the standard, everybody's going to be terrible. And I think that can be like, and I know what that is. That's fandom, that's rivalries, that's a Texas fan coming in, giving A&M fans some crap in the mentions. I know what that is. But in reality, again, if that was the standard, how do you perform against Texas? Then everybody stunk last year, apart from maybe Vandy, who was basically running the wishbone.
Brooks, is the Texas defense going to be as good as they were last year?
I mean, they tried to throw a bunch of bodies at it, right? Got the Shaw kid out of North Carolina. Got another defensive line transfer. But I don't know. I was really, really bullish on Texas's defensive line last year. Everybody knows about Colin Simmons. Everybody knows about Anthony Hill. I don't even know their names. I know their numbers. 88 was a freak last year. 45 was a freak last year. 90 was a freak last year. Okay, so like they had NFL, and I think all those guys were 3rd to 5th round picks. When we lose 4 or 5 of those bodies out of a position group that only plays 4 or 5 bodies, that's a lot to be losing, right? It's a lot to be losing. That being said, they've got an impactful football player at every single level, okay? They've got a great edge rusher in Colin Simmons. I think they've got the best off-ball linebacker in the sport in Anthony Hill, and everybody knows about Michael Taft. All right, but, you know, they did lose the Jim Thorpe Award winner at corner, and they did lose Andrew Makuba, who I felt like was the most underrated safety in this conference last year. So there's a lot there to replace, not to mention all the stuff offensively. They lost 2 NFL tackles, too.
Brooks, I want to ask you about Jackson Arnold. I talked to a couple of folks that know him from his time at Oklahoma and how things are going at Auburn, 2 different guys. And what I'm hearing is that when things are going great, he's really good. But he needs things to go great. When you watch him on film, what stands out about Jackson Arnold?
So, like, even dating back to his high school tape, if you go watch, and that's his tape. That's his highlight tape. That's not what, you know, every game looks like. That's the best version of himself that he presents to the world. If you go even watch his high school highlight tape, there's not a lot of working through the progression, big dog. There's like, oh, is number 1 open? He's open. I'm going to throw it. If he's not, I'm going to run around and make some play happen. Well, run around, make some play happen don't happen in college football. We have to play the position. We have to read through progressions. And I saw some of those same problems pop up at Oklahoma last year. Granted, no help, 0. Like, porous offensive line, couldn't run the football effectively until they decided to run him 20 times a game. And the wide receiver unit was atrocious. So, like, not a ton of help out there. But you talk about it. If it's going good, he's good. If it's going bad, he's not. You know who else is the exact definition of that? His head football coach. Okay, when Jackson Arnold throws an interception to cost them a football game in the 4th quarter, which he will, by the way, because Hugh Freeze's offenses have lost the turnover battle 12 of his 13 years coaching. Hugh Freeze's offenses have turned the ball over 25-plus times, 8 of 13 seasons coaching football. They're going to turn it over. He's going to be negative towards Jackson. He's going to get in front of microphones and throw his quarterback under the bus. So that's always been my concern about Hugh Freeze. He did it to Bo Wallace. He did it to Peyton Thorne. The only person he didn't do it to was Caden Salter, and that's because they were up there at Liberty, Virginia, in Lynchburg. Nobody really cared unless he was coaching a football game in a gurney up in the stadium. So I know it's a long-winded answer, but I don't expect it to be hunky-dory all the time at Auburn this year because that offense has never been consistently hunky-dory. They've always been consistently turnover-prone. It's what they do.
Last thing for you, Brooks. Carson Beck, overrated last year, underrated this year. Is that a fair assessment of him?
Well, I just think, like, I'm the film guy, right? That's what I do. I watch it on film. We just got done watching Georgia's offense from last year. It was a litany of problems. They did not execute at the rate a Georgia football team is supposed to. And honestly, it was rather frustrating. For someone who loves good football, watching Georgia play offensively last year I wanted to pull my hair out. I would feel the same way watching anybody else. If you're just lack of execution, not doing your job, I get sick watching you play. That's the way I felt about Georgia's offense at times last year. That being said, I don't steal a lot of takes from Danny Cannell, but I'm fitting them. All right, I'm about to steal a take from Danny Cannell. I was listening to Danny Cannell on Rosillo today, and I think he said, I've been covering Carson for 5 years. I think he said it best. Carson Beck is an elite football player. Like when you watch him in a vacuum on tape, elite, plays the position the right way, goes through his reads, deadly accurate, all right, serviceable athlete. But from an intangible standpoint, there's something missing. There's something missing there, okay? And how do I know that? Well, like Danny said on Rosillo today, did everybody watch the whole entire sideline get hyped for Gunnar Stockton this last year when he came in against Texas? The whole program talking about, we play hard for this guy. We love this guy. I'll die for 14. I never heard a word about that from Carson. Just, hey, he's a good football player. He's going to get us in the right play. He's going to control a lot at the line of scrimmage. But I didn't hear that intangible aspect about him. And by the way, I felt like that whole Miami football team lived off of intangibles and playmaking ability from Cam Ward last year. It wasn't just the dude threw for 4,200 yards and was a Heisman candidate. It was everybody knew we got a guy. And that does different things to your morale as a football team, right? Knowing that the quarterback is not just talented, but he carries himself like a dude. That stuff is really, really important. And I think sometimes Carson lacks that.
Brooks, great stuff, man. Make sure you check out his page. Tell everybody the YouTube and the Twitter handle.
It's right there, the Film Guy Network, at Brooks Austin BA on all social medias. Nuño, appreciate you for having me on, buddy.
Talk to you soon, bro. All right, we'll hit a break here. Short segment on the other side. Then we'll start at 10 o'clock. It's TexAgs Live.
Houston Aggies join us for a special screening of Breaking Tradition featuring fellow Houstonian and Aggie Hugh McElroy, class of 71, at the Star Cinema Grill in City Center on August 27th. 6 o'clock, it was set during the civil rights era. This powerful documentary follows McElroy's courageous journey through a transformative period at A&M in the 60s. Tickets are $25 and available now in the Football Forum, presented by the Houston A&M Club in partnership with Texas Filmworks and TexAgs, with support from Rifle CRE and the Goodwin Group at Merrill. Don't miss this unforgettable evening celebrating Aggie history and courage. One of the things that caught my attention when Brooks was talking about Carson Beck and then Gunnar Stockton coming in the game, the energy on the sidelines, how everything changed. Does that sound familiar to you?
It does.
What does that remind you of?
Kind of reminds me of Marcel Reed against LSU.
Yeah, and look, I'm going to say it. I think Connor's going to have a dynamic year with Houston, right? I hope he has figured things out, and I'm a big Connor believer as a passer of the football, and what he did as a freshman, it did not work out the way I thought. But I did notice it, and I know a lot of times the backup quarterback is the most popular one. Cody Carlson. This is way before your time.
Yeah.
Was the backup quarterback for Warren Moon with the Oilers, and people went crazy when he came in, right? Like, I get it. The backup quarterback sometimes but the energy changed when Marcel came in. That tells you something about that locker room. That stadium changed when Marcel came in, and it sounds like it was the same way for Gunnar Stockton. On the other side, we've got some recruiting to talk about. Jason Howell joining us on Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank. It is TexAgs Live. And we are back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank. We go to the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. That's where we find our friend Jason Howell here on the program. Jason, where are you? Looks like a hotel room.
Yes, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I kicked off my football season with and the TexAgs high school recruiting, coverage with a trip through Georgia, South Carolina. Got a week-long situation going on. I've already made several stops. I think when it's all said and done, we'll see 5, 6 high school football games this weekend, and every single commitment to Texas A&M out of the state of Georgia, and even ventured up into South Carolina earlier in the week for a little scrimmage action.
Jason, I know we've touched on this before, but since you are in the state of Georgia, what is it, about A&M's success there in Georgia? And honestly, the state of Texas has done pretty well in Georgia recently.
I'll lay it out from just talking to different people, especially on this trip. I think you've got a combination of a lot of factors. Jay Bateman and Coach Chaos from coming over from Florida, they had strong connections in the Georgia area with every single one of these prospects. Duke and Mike Elko's experience there, Trooper Taylor being there at Duke, absolutely played a factor. And I'll say this, Trooper Taylor, his connections throughout the Deep South he's been a college football coach, I don't know, for 20 years. He's got an extensive network that he utilizes, that he's recruited the area so strongly for so many years. And I mean, the connections are real with him and a lot of these coaches. And then you got Holman Wiggins with his connections as well. But, in talking to just a lot of these families and getting to know them and their process, it came down to relationships. And some of those started well before, the staff was at Texas A&M. So you kind of get the sense that the fact that they carried over the interest from one school to another played a part for, I know Jordan Carter's mentioned that before, but Aaron Gregory, I mean, that relationship goes back to his, I think it was his uncle, has a connection there with the Duke basketball staff that played over with Elko and the football staff. So, yeah, it's there's a lot of things that go on to it, and then you have, that once you get the ball rolling, you can gather some steam there, and that's exactly what they've done.
How much do you think it's caught the attention of Kirby and his staff, right? Like, okay, hold on. We've got a Texas problem. We got a Texas A&M problem in particular. Because I can just imagine the flip side. If top guys kept on leaving places close to Texas A&M, right? Like, it would cause a concern.
Well, and you see it right now. People complaining about the A&M's not recruiting the state of Texas well enough. Well, I think Georgia's still getting their guys. They're still getting a lot of guys, and not to say that they weren't recruiting any of these prospects and didn't want them, but they're still getting top quality athletes, and I'm sure it's one of those things that he's paying attention to. But in the grand scheme of thing, Georgia's going out there and recruiting well as well. So what A&M is doing to be able to go into the backyard and pull some of these guys, it's about showing the opportunity and availability. And quite frankly, everybody that I've talked to, you're getting a lot of that atmosphere at Kyle Field is just different. That network, that Aggie network, is just different, and there's not a whole lot of comparison when it comes to that kind of thing, and that is ringing true with a lot of these guys that have committed.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live. All right, Jason, I should have probably led with this, but since you're on the road, DJ Johnson, the news yesterday came out, the offensive lineman for 27, the number 2 guy in this class so far. Talk to me about DJ in particular.
Yeah, 6'7", 6'6", 330. He is a big man. Like Bronny's talked about, I know we talked about it on the in-home visit. He is a guy, he blocks out the door frame. He's been a multi-year starter. He was a second-team all-district player as a freshman at Tyler Legacy. And he's a guy that could project a tackle. He has a lot of traits as far as the length and size and the athleticism there. But I know what we saw at the camp where he looked really comfortable working at guard as well. And I know the staff got a good look at him at guard and moving him around. And that's one thing I love about Coach Cushing is he likes to move these guys up and down the line. We're hearing about it with some of the guys currently on campus playing multiple positions, and they love to cross-train these guys. And this is a guy who could play multiple spots up and down the line. Great size, athleticism, and he's a young prospect for his classification. So he's just scratching the surface. We talked to Coach Trey Hahn out there at Legacy. And he couldn't sing his praises enough. But it was kind of funny talking to DJ. He sounded like he kind of knew where he wanted to go from the beginning as soon as he stepped on campus. And A&M did a good job of closing the deal and bringing him into the fold.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live. Let's talk about the 27 class that we've now got 2 pieces to it. Just how are you feeling about those 2 pieces and what it could mean here moving forward over the next few months?
Yeah, you've got some nice momentum building in early August, and you with Jace Johnson, who I get to see this afternoon. I'll be driving down to Valdosta shortly after this, but get to see him in person. Big athletic quarterback with a strong arm, who's really made some strides as a quarterback over the last year, and A&M beat out some really top programs for both of these guys, and I think what you're going to see, they've really well positioned themselves in this 27 class, especially in state. I know I've touched on a few guys. Jaquan Snell, Waxahachie, John Meredith, Euless Trinity, cornerback, Ismail Kamara out of Gilmore, Cooper Witten, another big. These are big time, top 10 in the state type prospects that I would put A&M right up there at the tip top of their list right now and strong contention for. Now, I don't know when if everything's going to play out, like if they got decision timelines or anything, but they made multiple visits, and overall A&M's done a phenomenal job of kind of positioning themselves, and you're going to start seeing some of those some of those moves happen in that 27 class, and that group start to get the momentum building there with the focus, the 26 class being pretty much solidified, and you can kind of shift some of that focus and target on your small group of uncommitted along with your committed guys, and really hone in on some of those game day visits with some of those 27s.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, so as this has become a place where offensive lines come to be built, let's talk about the potential of what the next couple of years look like at offensive line and offensive tackle in particular.
Yeah. I mean, what you got coming in this year was Samuel Roseboro, and you got Zayden Crimpin, and the big man out of Houston area, Avery Morcho. You've got 3 really strong pieces there, and it wouldn't surprise me to see another addition in this class, whether it's through the portal or in the high school ranks or potentially both. But you've got some youth there on the roster already that you're going to start to see filling in some of those spots and playing some significant roles over the course of the season. I think Billy and the crew have talked about that pretty extensively. But this is an opportunity for Coach Cushing. They love to find those versatile pieces, and they spend a lot of time when they're recruiting these guys in the offensive line group, of going over tape and doing film sessions with these guys throughout their recruiting process, and talking about not just what they do well, but where they can fix and how they fit in and what A&M's doing. So these guys kind of come in maybe a little further ahead. They know how to react to Coach Cushing and that offensive line staff's coaching styles. They know how to. They know what they're looking for. They know where they need to be, and you see it in the cohesion that they built on the field in Aggie land today with a lot of those guys. And I think you're going to start. It just makes that process a little bit easier on the recruiting trail.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live. All right, so I know you've mentioned some of the names. Let's kind of go through some names to watch when it comes to the 27, and we'll talk about these young men and why you feel good, or maybe why A&M could be in the mix.
Well, I touched on like Jaquan Snell. He's a safety out of Waxahachie. Stop me if you've heard this story. He's a versatile athlete, plays offense, defense, big, heavy hitting, rangy safety on the back end, and he's always had a strong interest in A&M. He's visited twice, or maybe more than that, in the spring and summer, and has become really well acquainted with the coaching staff. Coach Elko has made a very strong impression there, and he's got a relationship with Damani Richardson that is a plus for Texas A&M. There's a nice little mentorship there with the former A&M standout who's now in the NFL. The two kind of keep in touch, and that definitely, I think, helps A&M's cause. So very similar skill set, and a guy that they can point and say, hey, look, you're not Damani, but you're Jaquan, and you have special qualities too. And there's a lot of crossover here that we can see utilizing you in very same manner.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live. All right, so let's go through your road trip, all right, and take it in parts, because I know you mentioned Aaron Gregory. I met him, I don't know, this summer at some point. Not only a dynamic player, dynamic young man, dynamic family. Talk a little bit about, like, for those who haven't watched his highlights and haven't talked to him straight up, tell us about Aaron Gregory.
Man, he is just a very confident and just calm, cool, collected guy with great smile. I tell you what, he likes being. He's doing his own media stuff. He's got a YouTube channel, and he is talked about doing some podcast type stuff and things like that. He's a natural in front of the camera. He's just a big personality that it just comes off as a really genuine guy. And when you see him on the field, you're talking about a true competitor. You listen to his coaches and trainers talk about him and what he's put into it. I caught up with one of his trainers that's been working with him since he was 7 years old, and he talked about how Aaron got beat at one of the camps, got just really physically manhandled, and he came to him and said, "I don't want that to ever happen again. What do I need to do to change that?" And then they went step by step to make that happen. And that's what he does. He's he sets his mind to something, and he's done nothing but achieve at a high rate. And you're going to see him this fall play a little bit on both sides of the ball. And he talks about how physical he likes to be at safety and how he utilizes that as a receiver. But you're talking about a 6'3.5", 6'4", long receiver who is just a smooth route runner that can change direction in a hurry, and he loves getting physical out there and going up and getting the ball. But you're talking about a true breakout threat that has a ability to take the top off of defense and be a deep ball guy. And just a top end playmaker. I think we have him rated as a 5-star. I know Billy's talked about he needs to be a 5-star everywhere else, and I agree. I think it'll happen eventually. But yeah, Aaron Gregory's a special dynamic player.
And another one, because all these guys are somewhat special, or are special, not somewhat. Jordan Carter.
Well, Jordan, he's funny, man. He's a character in front of the camera. I really enjoy our interviews. The one thing that we really that really intrigues me about him, he listens to R&B music to get hyped up for games, and it's just funny talking to him about his playlist. He was talking about listening to Erykah Badu on his playlist the other day. It's just not exactly what you would think of going into getting ready for game prep mode. But he is just a fun guy. And when it comes to the field, you're talking about a tightly wound, twitchy edge presence. I think he was Georgia's sack leader last year, so he's coming back ready to do some things. And I'll be honest, I don't think he's talked about enough in this class. He's a guy that brings a lot to the table, and A&M beat out a lot of teams to get him in the fold, and he has been locked in since making his pledge. So really strong character, fun guy, and we got some more coming from some interviews with him.
Jason Howell with us here on TexAgs Live. Jason, we'll continue down that path here on the other side. We'll hit a break. We'll got more with Jason Howell here on TexAgs. Let's talk about Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you, so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They're right here in College Station. You can find them on Highway 6. They're fantastic. All around town, you'll see the entire crew from Morgan to Jason to Jackson, the Keith, you name it. They're all around town. They love Aggie athletics, and they want to make sure that you have the right insurance situation for whatever your situation may be. Car accident, property damage, business liability, preparation matters. Call them up at 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO. You can visit the website, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. And actually, it's more of a Georgia state of mind right now. It's TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank, and it got Jason Howell still on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. All right, Jace Johnson, big news. I don't know. It's been, 3 weeks? I feel like all this news starts to get jumbled. You are going to stop by and see him. Let's talk a little bit about Jace Johnson.
Yeah, like I said, you're talking about a big athletic quarterback who's just really starting to scratch the surface. He moved from defense to offense. He played some safety and was I think primarily on defense at one point, and moved over to quarterback last fall and helped guide Lowndes to a wildly successful season as a sophomore quarterback, and so he's gearing up for his junior season. Starts on Friday night, and I'm going out to see him throw the ball around, catch up with him and his coaches out there, and just kind of get an up close look at what's going on there and what he brings to the table. So, but big athletic prospect, one of the top quarterbacks in the 2027 recruiting class, a guy that Coach Klein and the A&M staff zeroed in on early, offered him, I think, in January when he came down for junior day, and made him a priority as he continued to grow and progress this fall. I know he also has some connections to the current recruiting class. Him and Aaron Gregory played a little travel ball, like 7-on-7 together. They were both wide receivers on a team, and I know Aaron was talking about how excited he was to see Jace kind of join the fold and be catching passes from him in the next few years.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live. Jason, let's switch our focus to the 26 class and just what you think is still out there for them. It's a full class, but what do you think they can really get done?
Well, right now you still got one uncommitted target A&M's really in the mix for, and that's safety Braylon Womack out of Mississippi. They're fighting Auburn and Florida and Ohio State there to land his services. Right now, I would kind of trend towards picking him to land elsewhere. A&M's in it. But I've been hearing a lot of Auburn and Florida lately, and I wouldn't count out Ohio State either. If they decide they really want to go all in and make a push, they are more than capable as well. But overall, I think you're looking at flipping some guys. We've talked about this, guys, Jace Matthews, who just committed to Auburn, Boobie Feaster and Tristan Keys, who have been longtime targets. Keys committed to LSU, and Feaster, who opted for USC this summer. And then on the defensive line, you've got guys like Lamar Brown and Jamian Winfield. Now, there are varying degrees of likelihood that any of those guys could flip. If I had to say one was more likely than the other, just based on geography and relationships and everything, I think Boobie Feaster out of DeSoto's the one I would look at a little closer than everybody else. I won't be surprised if he ends up visiting at some point this fall, especially if things are really rolling well with A&M and that offense. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. But I know he's locked in with USC right now as well. So, but you let the process play out and see how it goes. A&M has shown that. And in recent history, last year, that you can flip some guys late, and we always see the coaching carousel kick up a lot of things towards the end of the season, and some seasons don't go as planned, and change happens, or an assistant coach leaves, and next thing you know, a recruit is looking at other options, and I think. That's something that you, even in today's age, you can continue to watch and see how it plays out. And I would put all of those guys, just based on the level of recruitment and attention they received and the needs of the team. I think receiver, maybe another receiver, O-line, D-line. But other than that, I think A&M's in a great spot with everything they've got. Even if they don't make another addition, you're talking about a top 5 to 7 national recruiting class. Based on the current rankings. But I think you'll see. I'd be surprised if they don't make another addition or two over the course of the next few months, and then you attack what you need in the portal, and some of that experience you can't get on the high school level. So that's a little bit different. But I think O-line, D-line, wide receiver, those are a few areas I could see another addition.
Jason, who's somebody from the 26 class that maybe we haven't talked about enough? Like a name in that group that you're like, you know what? He committed so long ago, we've kind of forgotten to talk about him. Is there a name on there that you're like, yeah, we gotta remember that this guy is legit?
Well, I mean, I mentioned Jordan Carter, and that's probably he's definitely way up there on the list as far as one of those guys that's not. Victor Singleton's another one I don't think we talked about enough. One of the top cornerbacks in the country and one of the top prospects in Ohio, and he's committed to Texas A&M, and A&M had to beat out some very strong competition for him. So, he's way up there. And shoot, I mean, let's not forget, KJ Edwards. I think we've kind of got swept away in all the June and July and all this stuff. Well, KJ, man, he not that it's been glossed over, but that's one of the top prospects in Texas, committed to Texas A&M. Him and Jonathan Hatton, both that running back group. To be honest, that's one of the stoutest you'll find in the country. So, but Jordan Carter, he takes the headliner in that group for me. You're talking about one of the top recruits in the state of Georgia, and really he's been locked in with A&M since late October, and because there hasn't been a lot of drama there, maybe his name doesn't get brought up, and he's not one of those guys that just does a ton of interviews. But I tell you what, when you get him on the phone or you get him in front of the camera, he's a big personality. He brings a lot to. Everybody talks about how big of a jokester he is, and then of course you see what he does on the field. He's a wrecking ball out there, and he's excited to get things kicked off on Saturday night at Mercedes-Benz. And I know I, for one, cannot wait to see him in action.
Jason, great stuff, man. Thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely, anytime.
Appreciate you very much. All right, we'll hit a break here. When we come back, Devontae Harris is going to join us. Catch up, old school guy from the 2012 era. Right now, though, Heritage Films, when it comes to preserving your farm or your ranch's legacy, it's about making sure that story is told and kept for the future generations. And that's what Heritage Films does with their farm and ranch film section of their website. They love to tell people stories, family business stories, family ranch stories. And if you got a ranch and you want to pass on all the morals that your ranch helped you establish and all the great stories, you got to let Chance McClain and his team tell that story. Remember, these aren't just businesses. These are blueprints for building character and something that the future generations are absolutely going to need, and they want to hear it from the source, and that would be you. Farm and Ranch Films captures that wisdom your grandkids are going to need by visiting the website, yourheritagefilm.com. You visit the website, yourheritagefilm.com, click on Farm and Ranch Films, or call up Chance McClain at 713-893-8341 to preserve your story, but not only your story, your family's foundation. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to go to the Buppy's Catering Hotline, Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline to talk to Devontae Harris, who had an impressive career at Texas A&M, played pros, and now I think he's changed careers again. So we're going to find out from Devontae. What's up, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. How you doing today?
Wonderful. So it looks like you're coaching. Tell me about what you're doing now.
Yeah, man, I'm a coach here at Forney High School, man. I coach the defensive backs. I'm going on my second year. I also coach track and field, and I coach my son's Little League football team.
Awesome. So I know you worked with the DBs, but Kelvion Riggins, you probably know quite well.
Oh, yeah, I know Kel. That's my dog.
Tell us a little bit about him playing there and your relationship and how you've seen him grow.
Man, great kid, high energy kid, really was magnetic as far as personality goes. And he made a lot of plays, man. He made a lot of plays, relied on his instincts. He was a leader of our defense for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Devontae, let's kind of go back and remind folks how you got to Texas A&M. Obviously, your dad has a great story here as well. So take us through the journey of how you ended up in Aggie.
So, I mean, I grew up in it. I'm from Mesquite, Texas. I always wanted to go to A&M my whole life. My first ever college game, I went when they played Oklahoma back when Adrian Peterson was playing. So it's in my blood, man. My dad played receiver up there. My uncle, may he rest in peace, Darren Lewis, played running back up there. So I came out. I was an athlete, playing wide receiver and DB. Was committed to Oklahoma up until the Under Armour All-American game, decommitted after that. Then as soon as Sumlin got in office, he offered me, and I committed the next day.
So what was it? Obviously, you grew up wanting to be an Aggie, but what made it like, all right, Summy's here, this is the right fit for me?
Really, because it was a lot of people that I knew, like Trey Williams, Matt Davis, those guys, keeping up with them through social media. They're constantly recruiting me. Then we had a lot of Dallas guys go down there, like Michael Richardson and things like that. And once I stepped on campus during my official visit, it felt like I was home. Like any other official visit I went to, it was, I'm just going to another school. But once I stepped in Aggie land, it was like, okay, I'm home. I'm where I'm supposed to be. I can't leave now.
Devontae, starting as a freshman, I think you started 7 games as a freshman. In the SEC, in year one of the SEC, like, how crazy did that feel? Like lining up against those beasts, and you're just a young kid trying to figure it out.
Man, I had the butterflies at first, not gonna lie, man. And I was skinny. I started my first game against Florida at 158 pounds. So I was tiny, but I mean, I knew what the end goal was for me, man. I wanted to build a legacy there. I wanted to go to the next level. So I just took it head on and say, hey, whoever lined up in front of me, I'm just going to do my best and be the best version of myself.
Being such a young player, was there a point where you're like, dude, this team is special? Like, beyond Johnny, like, was there a moment where you're like, yeah, we know that this team can compete at the highest level?
And what's crazy, I was just talking to Jake Spavital about this. It was our practices, man. Once we got in pads, they were so competitive. And that's what that we're trying to bring here at Forney High School. Like, it was game day in practice. Like, whether it don't matter what drill, if we're competing against the receivers, it's us against them. We'll be friends on Saturday or when we get in the locker room. But when we out there on the field, it's compete all day long. And I think with us having high energy practices and having hard practices, it made the game much easier.
So what do you remember about like the conversations, right? Like, because I remember what people were saying when they were moved from A&M was moving from the Big 12 to the SEC. Oh man, they're about to get trounced. They couldn't do. What do you remember about that? And then how the conversation changed?
Yeah, that's really what it was. Once I committed to A&M and all my friends knew that, they were like, oh, y'all about to get killed. Like, y'all coming from the Big 12, going to play big boy ball, y'all about to get killed. But what it was when we got in the SEC, it was a lot of power back, a lot of downhill running. And Spav and the offense and Johnny, they brought that spread. We're going to spread you out, and we're going to make sure that you're in shape. So we brought like a different style of offense to the SEC, and it took them a whole year to get used to that. So
how did going up against Swope and Mike, make you a better corner?
I mean, because they're great. They're fast. They're big. Like, and it gave me the confidence of like, okay, if I can guard these guys, it don't matter who line up in front of me. We can get it done. So just little things, little tricks that I had to learn coming from the receiver, because I was a receiver in high school for the most part. So just learning on who I can be physical with, who do I have to stay top field shoulder, who can I run with, stuff like that.
In 2014, you got hurt. How much did that, hurt, the lack of a better term, but like how much did you have to grow from waiting to get back on the field?
Man, a lot, man. So it allowed me to get into my film. It allowed me to really go to mental aspect of it. Because once you're in it, yeah, you watching film, but it's just go, 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 go. Me sitting down, I'm like, okay, I got with my DB coach at the time and just kind of became a film junkie, like how to watch film. And that's a lot of young kids. They'll just cut on the film and go first through second down, first, third down, all that. But pulling up third down, okay, what are their top concepts in 3rd and 6 and short? What are their top concepts on P and 10? So it allowed me to attack the mental aspect of it. And then when I came back, I added my physical ability with that mental ability, and I feel I had a decent year that year.
Devontae, what can you tell us about your dad? What do you remember about his playing days? I don't know if you got to see him a little bit. I think you saw highlights of him playing for the Cowboys. And just talk to us about his he had a record at A&M for kick return yards that lasted like 20 years. So talk to us a little bit about Rod.
Oh man, he's highly competitive. He talks to me, even at a young age, he talked to me like a grown man. When it comes to, like, once I'm off the field, I can be a kid, but he'd always say, when you on the field, you're a pro. And I tell my son, he's 7 years old, the same thing. Off the field, yeah, be a kid, have fun, and be a kid. But once you step in between those white lines, be a pro. And he's a very, very, how can I say this, scheduled. Like, he's very disciplined in his schedule up until the day. And so he held me accountable in certain things. And growing up with a father figure like that, it was very beneficial for me.
Devontae, talk about your time in the NFL, just playing pro ball, what you learned about yourself, what you liked, what you didn't like.
Man, I liked it, man. It just wasn't what it seemed. I mean, and I tell my guys this here now. Once you watching the pros, if you watch the pros, you only know 48 minutes of their life. You don't know the other 6 days, other 7 days, what they're doing outside of that. And coming into the league, I didn't understand that. At the end of my third year, well, at the beginning of my third year, I started to figure it out a little bit. Like, you're a football player all the time. All right? There is no off days when you're here. And I feel that helped me in what I'm doing now, holding my kids and my students accountable. Like, if you want to get to that level, it's the work that you got to put in. And I was blessed enough to play with Drew Brees. And you know the whole saying, first one in, last one out. Drew Brees was that guy. So being able to see that and see his success and the work that he's putting in behind the scenes, I think that helped me now as a 31-year-old man about you got to be good at the things that people don't see.
Devontae, let's talk about this A&M football team this year. Secondary had some issues last year at times towards the end, gave up some big plays, but Will Lee is a monster, man, and they've got some others. So what do you think about this defense this year?
Man, I think we're going to be good. I think the game is won in the trenches. All right. So if we, as a secondary, don't have to cover for a while, which I figure we won't, and we're physical and we're on top of our technique, I think we're going to be good. Like Will Lee, like you said, the blanket is what he called himself, man. Great player. And I could tell that he's vocal and the other players are kind of rallying behind him. And I like his swag. Personally, I like his swag. I like how he talked that noise, but he also back it up. So I think we'll be successful, man. As long as we hold up against the run, I think the DBs will be okay.
Take me inside the mindset of a DB, right? Like you the best, I mean, I don't know if cocky is the right word, but you almost have to take your mind to a certain place to be able to perform at that level, because it is a lot of times you versus another dude who thinks the same way about himself.
Absolutely. Cocky is the right word. And you got to humbly be cocky, all right? So off the field, man, respect everybody, do that. But when you're on the field, you got to think you're the best at all times, but you also got to be even-headed, have a short memory. All right, so you playing in the SEC at this level, people going to catch balls on you. You're going to get scored on from time to time, but you got to be able to bounce back, shake it off, and be like, and do it again. Tell the receiver, do it again. Beat me again. And that's really what it is, man. You got to just be able to put it behind you and make the next play. Always focus on the next play.
Devontae, let's close up with this. Coach Elko, defensive-minded guy like yourself,
this program took a step back when he left for Duke. He's now the main guy. A little setback at the end of last season, but you saw the direction it was going. What do you think about this year and the next few years just as a program?
Man, so I got to, when he came out to coaches night at Gillies in Dallas, man, I got to hear him speak, and I really believe in the message he's portraying, man, especially with being a defensive-minded coach. He's sure of himself. He knows what he wants. I think the team understands that he's a great leader, and they'll do anything that he asked of them. But I think we'll be good, man. I think we'll be good. We just got to, not do the whole A&M thing where we start off strong and then we tail it off at the end. We got to start fast, finish strong. Start fast and finish strong, and we'll be A-okay.
Please finish strong, please. Yeah, and start fast. Yeah, both. Both got to happen.
Both.
Hey, Devontae, this was great, man. Good luck this season. Let's do it again, all right?
Thank you, man. Appreciate you for having me on.
Thank you very much. Devontae Harris here on TexAgs Live on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. All right, we'll hit a break, come back with Around the SEC. But right now, we're talking about the Daily Company. They're a family-owned, licensed, and insured business that offers HVAC, electrical, and plumbing and generator services that's available to you all day long, 24/7, 365. When it comes to HVAC, they'll take care of your thermostat, your refrigerant leaks, your furnace failures, your seasonal tune-ups. On the plumbing side, leak repairs, clogged drains, water heater installation, maintenance to keep those pipes in top shape. On the electrical wiring side, you got the outlet repairs, the upgrades for safety and efficiency, and generators. You got repair, maintenance, installation. They want to make sure that you are prepared for whatever power outages come your way. They serve all this area. Bryan, College Station, they'll take care of you in Houston and in Austin. They have upfront pricing with no surprises. What you need to do is call up the Daily Company, 979-260-2020. That's 979-260-2020. Or visit them online at godaily.com to experience the daily difference. Oh my gosh. My headphones just blew up my ears. Holy smokes. I said time and my ears, they won't work. Oh my goodness, the right ear won't work. Time for Around the SEC. I'm just going to whisper because my ear hurts. Brought to you by the Jaxer Group. Reese Nygren at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. You were doing some research.
I did some research. So yesterday on the show, y'all had mentioned the maybe not need for an elite quarterback to play in the national championship game. So I did some numbers dating all the way back to the 14-15 season.
And you said you're wrong, Nuño.
Not wrong. It depends on what you define as an elite quarterback. So this was quarterbacks that had more than 4,000 total yards and 35 or more total touchdowns.
You're not saying threw for 4,000 yards. You're saying total yards.
4,000 total yards.
Yep. Okay.
So it has happened at least once every year except for 2017 when Jake Fromm in Georgia made it off the backs of Nick Chubb and DeAndre Swift. We can run through some of the names. So obviously last year, Will Howard
not elite
did it. The year before that, Michael Penix did it, had almost 5,000 total yards.
I would say elite.
Touchdowns. Okay. 22-23, Stetson Bennett and Max Duggan.
I would say neither. I would say we're elite, but fine quarterbacks.
21-22, Bryce Young had over 4,800 total yards and 35
elite,
touchdowns.
But did not win.
The year before that, Mac Jones, 4,500 yards and 42 touchdowns in a shortened season.
Elite.
The year before that, Joe Burrow.
The most elite.
Yeah, 6,000 yards, 65
By the way, I think
touchdowns.
this sample size that I was going for was in the last 4 years. Now we're going to the 1960s. Just kidding. Go ahead.
And then Trevor Lawrence.
Elite as they come.
Tua the year
elite.
Before that. And then Deshaun Watson in 2015, 16, 16, 17, and then Marcus Mariota.
Okay, but let's now fast forward from the COVID era beyond. And tell me the names again.
Mac Jones in 2021.
For sure, elite.
Bryce Young.
Who did they play that year?
Ohio State, Justin Fields.
Not elite.
And then Bryce
I guess
Young, he was good.
He was good. Okay.
Bryce Young the next year.
Elite. Who did he play?
I believe that was Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah,
right?
I think
that was
so.
Stetson Bennett? Or?
Yeah, that was the year before Stetson Bennett really took off. And then the next year, Stetson Bennett and Max Duggan.
And I think Stetson Bennett that year, I wouldn't call him an elite quarterback, did have an elite season.
He had 4,332 total yards and 37 touchdowns.
Okay.
And then Michael Penix Jr.
Elite.
Against J.J. McCarthy, who I don't think really threw for that many yards.
No, I think JJ got invited to the Heisman ceremony. He was an elite quarterback, but I don't consider him an elite quarterback. I guess my point is you don't have to be Caleb Williams to win a national championship. You need a strong team around you and a quarterback who's good, who won't ruin it for you. Will Howard was really good for them. Wasn't great, but he did have great receivers.
Yeah, he had 4,236 total yards and 42 touchdowns last year.
Let me read this. Owen and Brenham, don't see why there's so much hype for a quarterback from South Carolina. Lenore Sellers, Marcel Reed had the same type of numbers and touchdowns and one less interception and a higher QBR than Sellers, only had 600 less than Sellers with 3.5 less games. Yet the media has Sellers, Heisman contender. What are they sleeping on, Marcel? I'll say a couple things. Lenore Sellers beat Marcel.
Yeah.
Okay. Was unsackable with a terrible offensive line. And they finished 9-3. That's the why. And I've said this many times, if A&M doesn't lose those games in November, I think Marcel is getting similar buzz to Lenore's and DJ Lagway. Maybe not that same kind of love, but similar. The fact that the defense and the team overall did not perform at the end is the why. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live on a Wednesday. Tomorrow, great show. Promise you that. We'll see you mañana.